Well, I think since I was a little kid when I started playing trumpet, as you know my story basically, but I had some natural ability, when I was very young, hitting high notes on the trumpet. And I was kind of a little circus act as a little kid because I could play charges up an octave, in junior high school
Right.
and all that stuff. And my friends were kind of mesmerized by that and trying to do it. And I'm sure it sounded like somebody putting a cat in a blender, but I had this little thing, and it's what kept me interested in playing because I got attention for it. I was never very good at anything. I was a very uncoordinated kid. I was a geeky little kid, and I was just a little insecure in myself in a lot of ways. So this gave me confidence. It's the one thing that gave me confidence. And that's why I still play today. And if I wouldn't have had that ability, I mean, when I started on the French horn, as you know, I did not
Right.
have this ability, so I think that's what keeps me going. And as I look back over the years and think about how I came up the ranks, because people ask me these questions all the time, and I have a pretty good track of how I progressed through high school and the goods and the bads and the bad habits I developed from being a natural player.
Yeah.
If you don't have the proper guidance, I mean, it's really like, you're a martial arts expert as well, besides being a great trumpet player. So the proper guidance and all this stuff, I'm sure there's martial arts people that have some natural ability at this
Yeah.
and get certain things very quick, like whether
Right.
it's a kick or something, and they're really good at that, but then their form and everything else is messed up. So it makes other things, they develop bad habits and it makes
Right.
other things difficult to accomplish. That's me in a nutshell. So I'm 62 years old now and I'm still undoing bad habits. I've gotten a
Yeah.
lot better at it because you know, uh, I can look back at when I was 30. You figure I'm 62, so when I was 30, I should have been a much stronger player than I am at 62. Let's face it.
Hmm.
But we've gotten pretty smart. We've learned a lot about trumpet playing over the last 40 years,
Yeah.
from what our predecessors, and even, the turn of the century, when we think about looking at the Clark book and all these books, these were all written in the early 1900s, or the late 1800s. And we're still looking at that formula, and which is great. There's a great foundation of stuff there. We've learned a lot since then, and players have gotten smarter, and we've picked up on that and added things from great gurus and teachers that have come along since then, like Bobby Shu and different people like that have showed us a new way.
Yeah.
Just like in martial arts, there's a new way.
Yeah.
And so I like to think I'm a much smarter player now, and I can look back and I can tell you one thing: a 62-year-old Wayne Bergeron can kick a 30-year-old Wayne Bergeron's ass all over the stage. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
strength-wise, endurance. I think I'm a much better trumpet player as well musically, but I'm just
right.
talking about the physical part of it. And
Hmm.
so that didn't used to be the case. If we'd been having this conversation 40 years ago, my chops would probably be shot.
Uh-huh.
And I'd be go, okay,
Right.
well, I can't play lead anymore. Lead trumpet players that do what we have to do now, we're burning out. And even strong lead trumpet players, like in Las Vegas when they had the production shows and thing, all these great lead trumpet players that came from there and were playing these shows because they were so demanding, ended up having all kinds of chop problems. Not all of them, but many of them. And they would come to Los Angeles and they'd study with you on Racer, or whoever, like to get fixed,
Right.
you know,
Hmm.
because they were doing everything they've been taught, and there was not enough recovery time. So, like sports or anything else, for that recovery time is if it's not there, you have to figure out a way to survive the next day without that recovery time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's really important. And I think if I've learned any great lessons over the years, it was to be a smarter player and a more efficient player.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.